Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Father-Son Packers podcast, your source for Packers news, notes, and analysis. My name is Tommy, and I'm one of your hosts, and I'm joined by two hosts here today. First off, my dad, Matt. Dad, how are you doing?
Doing good. I think our weather is nicer up here than yours is down there.
Yep, and then second, my cousin Eli. Eli, how are you doing?
Doing all right. Excited to be here. Usually when there are three of us in a room, it gets very loud, but we're, spread all across the West Coast, so maybe only going to be the listeners' problem.
Yes, and we're here
practically, we're like Mexico to Canada here.
Yeah, straight line pretty much. Just a direct line down the West Coast. But we are here today, and you might be wondering, why are there three? What's the special occasion? Well, you're living under a rock then, because the Packers traded for Micah Parsons. And so we figured we needed at least 3 whole brains worth of Evanses to, react to this, because my initial reaction, my brain
just went to put in a light bulb, or what is this called?
My brain waves just like flattened out. I was like, am I reading? Am I able to read? Like, is this still English? Am I reading this right? But anyway, so we're here to
notice that I had that it happened was you texting me, am I having a stroke?
Yeah, so I was like, is this real life? And I think I texted Eli the same thing. But We're here today to react to this trade. So if you missed it, Packers traded for Micah Parsons from the Cowboys, 2 firsts and Kenny Clark. We're going to talk about our reactions to the trade. We're going to talk about details of the trade, details of the contract. They also signed him to a 4-year, $188 million extension with, I believe, $130 million of guarantees. So we're going to talk about that. But let's start off with the reactions. Eli, we'll start with you. How did you hear about it? What was your first reaction? Do you believe it? Do you feel like you're still dreaming, et cetera, et cetera? What are you thinking?
I had a friend in one of my fantasy football chats post the Schefter tweet saying that it happened. I'm very excited. Like one of the I messaged Tommy almost a whole month ago when Parsons went on the trade block and said the Packers need to beat down the doors in Dallas to make this happen. And it was quiet for 3 weeks, and then things started really heating up over the weekend. And I'm so excited something happened.
Yeah, I mean, I did not believe this was going to happen. I'm going to be, and I want to start off here. I think before I say anything else, I would just like to issue a formal apology to Ricky Scoops. I have said that dog is a liar, and I just want to raise my hand and say, my bad, man. That's on me. I didn't know you were cool like that. I didn't know you were chill like that. That's on me. Ricky, you definitely have sources. I was skeptical, but I have been shown up, and I just want to issue my formal apology to the dog, Ricky Scoops. But Dad, your learning of it and your first reaction, what did you think? And how did you hear about it?
Yeah, so I was actually actively going through my maybe Blue Sky and Twitter feed at the same time, searching just the Packers news. And so I had scrolled down the page when it happened, so it didn't load right away. And then all of a sudden, I got your message, and you were FaceTiming. It's like, oh man, he's FaceTiming. This is supposed to be something big, because you don't usually FaceTime. If you get, you just get the full experience of the reaction. So I was like, oh, did this actually happen? Because I'll admit, I've been searching Micah Parsons on multiple social media feeds for the last, 2 weeks.
I mean, and there's been some like guy on Reddit who knows a guy who knows a guy who does PT for the Cowboys who said that Micah Parsons was going to get traded. Like, that's the type of stuff like I've been seeing on the internet, and I'm like, okay, like, come on, like, well, like, are we all going to really believe this? And then it turned out to all be true. So apparently,
did you see that one rumor was apparently passing through some plastic surgeon?
I saw that one too, and I was like, okay, so we're just getting all these types of rumors, but hey,
we're just making stuff up now.
Apparently, it was all true the whole time. It was all true. But yeah,
but right, every single thing must have been true now that people wrote.
Exactly, yeah. No one just blindly got it right. It was all 100% factual. When I first saw it, it was a buddy of mine. It was in a fantasy league, so similar to Eli. Sent a link, and it was the second Rappaport tweet, which is just, this is real. This is not a drill or something like that. And I was like, well, that can only be about one thing, but it can't possibly be about that thing. So what is this about? And I opened it, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, that really happened? But yeah, anyway,
when I first saw it, it's like, okay, is this actual? I had checked rap sheet. Okay, this isn't some fake made up Rappaport.
I mean, this has to be, and Eli, I'll throw it over to you to see if you can remember any others. But I was talking to a buddy of mine. I was like, The Luka trade is like the top one for like shocking moves because it was just like there had been no trade request, there had been no even rumblings. For this one, there had been some rumblings that he would get moved, but this is like right there in that tier 2 of like, wow, shocking, surprising sports moves that I can remember at least, right?
So before I answer that, I just have to figure out what kind of journalistic integrity I owe to slandering Jerry Jones. Should I lay off on that maybe? But
I mean, I feel like we just gotta thank you, Jerry. I mean,
Yeah.
shout out to Jerry. So we'll
great work, Jerry. But
Shout out
like leading
to-
up to this, the only thing that made it seem like it wouldn't happen is like the decades of how he has managed the Cowboys. Like, because if you see this happening on any other team, it's like kind of indicative that something might move or that something's going on. If you're a week before the season starting and you can't sign your star player and you're having contract disputes, then like that's usually a bad sign. In the past, the Cowboys, it's been like just how business happens.
I was gonna say, and even so, you got the Cowboys like with CD a few years ago, Dak last year, where it's like, yeah, they take it up to the wire, but they always get it done. Like even guys like on other teams, like TJ Watt was like until the last week, Nick Bosa was until like the last week, Trey Hendrickson just this past year, like that came down to the wire, but they got it done. Like it was like these things always like even when they get drawn out like this, almost always like work out. And so like I was just like the whole time, I don't know about you guys, but I was like, he's not getting moved. Like it's gonna work out. And then so like that was just like why it was like triply surprising to me that it like he actually got traded and it was to the Packers.
So the Vegas odds shifted like Sunday night or Monday, where the Packers went.
Oh, you were really locked in. You were really locked in tracking the odds.
Yeah, so it was like he was at minus 450 to stay at the Cowboys, which implies like an 82% chance that he's gonna stay at the Cowboys. But then the Packers moved to like the favorite of where he would go, but still at like a relatively low chance he actually moves. I haven't checked like what it got to right before he was traded today. I'm very curious.
Oh, it had to have just like slammed over to like minus odds, and then everyone. It's like a tsunami when you see the water coming out. Like you see the tide start to recede,
yes.
and you're like, oh, something's about to happen.
All of a sudden, the odds water just started receding away from the beach.
Exactly.
It's too late to bet. Run for cover.
But so I think, like, I mean, I don't want to speak for you guys, but we're all pretty excited about the trade, right? Like, obviously, there are, like, scenarios where it doesn't work out. Like, we've been excited about trades before, and they haven't worked out. But, like, so the trade was 2 firsts and Kenny Clark, which is, like, a good amount to give up. And then you also sign him to a big contract, $47 million a year, which is the most for a non-quarterback ever. And so it's a steep price in terms of the trade, 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark, who we'll talk about, like, at the end, and we'll talk a little bit about what Kenny's meant to the Packers. And then you're giving him this huge contract, and obviously there's a chance it doesn't work out. He's had this back issue that has kept him out of camp. We don't really know if that's real or if that's been a contract thing. But I still think 100 times out of 100, you make this trade because there just aren't that many pass rushers who are like this level, and those guys never become available. Dad, do you want to talk a little bit about, how effective he has been as a pass rusher during his 4 years in the league so far?
Yeah, so I wanted to look up exactly how he's been doing compared to how the Packers have been doing. And I went to NFL Pro to start with because one of the things we talked a lot about in the offseason are quick pressures. So in 2024, Parsons had 33 quick pressures in just 13 games. I see somebody added a note here.
I wanted to add, Dan Pizzuta put on Blue Sky a similar stat to that I saw. But it was like he was third in the league in quick pressures, and then he only played 13 games, and then everyone else who was in the top 7 played 17 games, just to kind of give you a bit of context there. So, like, he's been a dominant pass rusher from winning quickly, which the Packers have needed, like you said.
Yeah, and if you compare that to how the Packers did as a team, as a whole team, their edge group combined, all of their edges for over 17 games, only had 44 total in 2024. And then in 2023... Micah Parsons had 62 quick pressures in 17 games.
Woo.
Again, the whole Packers edge group for the whole season only had 44. So by himself, he had more pressures by a significant amount than the entire Green Bay edge group
More
in
quick
2023.
pressures, right?
More quick pressures. These are quick pressures. So those are in less than 3 seconds, I think. And then in 2022, we had 48 quick pressures, and the Green Bay combined edge group only had 42. So, sorry, 48 to 42. So he outperformed the entire Green Bay edge group in 2022 and 2023. And in 13 games, probably equaled the per game for the entire Green Bay edge group.
And that, to me at first seemed a little concerning. Do the rest of the Packers, are they going to be able to enable Micah Parsons the same way that he has been enabled in Dallas if he is outperforming the rest of them so completely? But it's not like there are a bunch of world beaters on the current Dallas line besides Micah Parsons. Marshawn Nealon and Mozzie Smith are not exactly setting records. They're graded out about the same as the Packers. I'd be more worried that Parsons' talents wouldn't translate as immediately and directly to the Packers if they were like TJ Watt, for example. He's getting a lot of help from Cam Hayward and Alex Highsmith. They're also extremely talented rushers. So Micah Parsons has not had that kind of support, and I think the Packers will be able to provide at least the level that he has been dealing with in Dallas.
I mean, just to back that up, I mean, I think I saw a stat today that was in the 4 games that Micah Parsons didn't play last year, the Cowboys gave up 121 points, so 30 points a game. so he was doing a lot of heavy lifting on that line.
Yeah, and we hope he continues that, and more than the whole Packers edge group combined.
Exactly, and so the quick pressures have been a thing that the Packers have really needed because last year, the pressure rate numbers, like we've talked about before, were pretty good. But they, just, the time to throw was not good. The time to pressure was bad. So, yes, they'd get there, but the quarterback would be able to go first read to second read to third read. And so a lot of those pressures were, more chalked up to the coverage, I would say, than to the pass rush, actually, winning, dominantly. And also, when they did get quick pressures, a lot of it was schemed up blitz stuff, using linebackers. They didn't really have, and we talked about this, guys who could get you off the field on a third down in the, gotta have it moments of a game. And now they do. And I think that's the biggest thing is we talked about, we've talked about this to death. We're beating a dead horse, but there were several games last year where the defense just needed to get a stop, needed to force a negative play and get the ball back to the offense or, keep the lead. And they just couldn't make that one play when they really needed to. And now I think bringing in Micah Parsons, the idea is now you have one of those guys who can just go make a play for you. And it kind of makes me think about the, Green talking to Clay Matthews, it is time. And I know you guys had something talked about one of you guys, I don't remember which one put in the Clay Matthews thing. One of you guys put in the shades of the Reggie White move. And do you guys want to talk a little bit about that as well? There is some connection to, previous Packers as well.
Yeah, Matt'll have a little bit more historical context for the Reggie White move, but both times.
Yeah, we were 6 years old.
Yeah, I was 2 when they signed him and 6 when they won.
I was not born, so.
But both times in the last 30 years that the Packers have had a first team All Pro putting up sacks, they've won a Super Bowl shortly after they've acquired them. So that was one of the first things that I thought about with this signing was this is kind of familiar in a good way.
Yeah, there's definitely some Reggie White connections. Not to say that Micah Parsons is Reggie White, and obviously it's a trade versus free agency, so there's differences in what you're giving up. But bringing in an already known quantity as a pass rusher, there's definitely some parallels there for sure. What wouldn't you say, Dad?
Yeah, I mean, so when Reggie White came to the Packers, kind of just shocked everybody that he would go. It was not a destination at the time. He was already established as one of the best players in the league, and he's since proven to be what most people consider one of the top 2 defensive players of all time.
Top 2, 3, yeah.
If you ask most people, they'll say number 1 was either Reggie White or Lawrence Taylor, and he's a guy who was a star before he came, continued to be a star after he came, and just basically completely changed the defense for the Packers, the kind of the fortune of the team, made it a place that people wanted to go. And then tackling or sacking quarterbacks with receivers,
with other players,
taking Chris Carter and using him as a not even a tackling dummy. It's like a
projectile.
Right? I'm going to just take this receiver and throw him into the quarterback to make a tackle.
Yeah, and it's not to say that Micah Parsons is Reggie White, but like bringing in an elite pass rusher can really transform a defense. And I think that's probably like maybe we should talk about that next. Like, what does this do for the Packers defense? Like, you talked a little bit about the numbers that he's put up in terms of the pressure rates, the quick pressures. I've talked a little bit about, how I feel like he can help with getting off the field in those big gotta have it moments. But I think what else I wanted to talk about is, and we've talked about this before, Dad and Eli, I think we've talked about this too, is the Packers have been like a really good team that has lacked star players that opponents need to game plan for. And so I think in addition to, Micah himself having an impact on the game, I think he is going to help everyone else on the defense so much because opponents are going to have to take probably at least a full day, 2 days out of the week, prepping and having specific, plays designed around him. I don't know about you guys, and I'll throw it to Eli first. I feel like that can only help the rest of the guys on this defense.
Yeah, and like touching on the getting off the field, I when you said that, what I could not get out of my head was the game against the Lions, where there were like 3 opportunities where it's like we could just end the game if we make a defensive play and could not do it. And so I just have to say that out loud, or I'm going to keep thinking about it for the rest of the podcast. It's like we just need someone to do something in that scenario. But it gives a lot of room to play differently that the Packers haven't been afforded, and obviously we've had a coaching change at defense, and I can't imagine how good it must feel as a defensive coach to get a tool like this to be able to it lets you get creative in ways, because you have this guaranteed thing of Micah Parsons being Micah Parsons. So then you could commit resources other places strategically to take advantage of that. So this is probably we're having a great time. This is like Christmas for us. I'm sure it's 1,000 times that for their defensive
Jeff Hafley in the defense. Yeah. I think, and like you mentioned, Micah can be deployed in so many different ways. You see him rushing over the center, face up. You see him with his hand in the dirt as kicked in on obvious passing downs. He was one of the most double team players in the league, so that should give some more help to or let Rashawn Gary get some more advantageous situations to rush against. I just think that, like you said, there are so many ways that this can help the other guys on the team, even aside from him just winning on his own. Dad, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think he'll make the work for everybody else on the team easier. I think we might see more pass rush productivity from the other edge rushers in the interior because the offensive line is going to be paying so much attention to where Micah is. It wouldn't surprise me if he's moved around quite a bit. Sometimes we see the highlights of him rushing in something up the middle or various parts of the line. So I think we see that, and then maybe we'll get more out of Kenny Clark. No, we won't.
Nope.
Rashawn Gary, Lucas Van Ness, Devontae Wyatt. And I think he's going to make everybody else's job easier. I mean, they'll get off. We talked about last week. I think they only succeeded in getting off the field when they needed to. 2 times out of 10 or something like that?
Yeah, we went through it. And it was a bit anecdotal, small sample size, all that, yada, yada. But I'm just thinking about, Eli said, the Lions game, where it's okay, you tied the game. Let's just get them off the field, get the ball back. And it's actually, they're just going to run the clock all the way down. The first game against the Bears, where you have the lead, and it's okay, just don't let them march down for a game-winning field goal. And thankfully we blocked the field goal, but we still let them get down there. The game against the Vikings, where it's okay, if we get the ball back here at the end, we have a chance to go down and score and win it, but you just never get the ball back. And there was time after time after time of that, where they just, the game against the Jaguars, like you end up going down and you end up winning the game. But if you had just gotten a stop before that, you wouldn't have had to do that. Like, there's so many games last year where you just couldn't get off the field because you couldn't force the offense into a mistake. You couldn't like get a quick sack to like, make it really hard for them. You couldn't get pressure. Like, they just were able to hold the ball and like get these second reaction plays. And the idea, I think, behind this move is that now you have like that guy to go make a play when you need a play.
Yeah, and I think the thing we're all hoping not to see again is the Eagles' first touchdown play score off in the playoffs.
It was
6,
hold the ball,
7,
hold the
8
ball,
seconds
hold the
back
ball.
there, whatever it was.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there were just too many of those throughout the year. And I think, Eli, you mentioned like Hafley's probably, ecstatic about this. I think he's probably also ecstatic about the fact that, I mean, I'm sure he, at some level, because he's like, obviously all these coaches are sickos, like, I'm sure he likes the challenge of having to dial up all these blitzes and like being like, oh, what if I brought Edgerrin Cooper from around the edge and then also brought Quay Walker on a delay? Like, I'm sure he likes doing that to some level, but I'm sure like that's at least a good load off his plate to not be like, okay, the only way we're going to get pressure is if I just cook out of my mind, right?
Yeah. You won't have to do anything crazy all the time, which like also makes it so when you do need to do something out of the box, it's like out of the box isn't what everyone is expecting. Like you actually do have a default plan that people have to game around, because like if we weren't doing elaborate schemes and blitzes, it's like nothing was going to happen.
Exactly.
It was just like completely unworried, just like, oh, we could just hang out here, have a tea party.
It's like, okay, solid. It's like, you're just gonna rush 4? Cool. Like, we'll be waiting. We'll just be sitting back here. But no, yeah, and so
burping the baby.
Exactly. And so in terms of week 1, I don't know how much you guys think he's going to contribute. I'm thinking like 40% to 50% of snaps, like at most. Because he hasn't been practicing, so he probably has to ease back in. You want to let him work his way back in. He has that back thing. We don't know how much of that is contract related, how much of that is like an actual back thing. But what do you guys expect for week 1? Dad, you want to start us off?
Yeah, so I would think it may not even be quite 50% of the snaps. I'm suspecting the MRI came clean on the back when they did the MRI before. So maybe he just needed to get some cooler weather to loosen up his back.
It's still pretty warm in Green Bay this time. It's still pretty toasty.
But probably not as hot as Texas.
That's probably true. Eli, what are you thinking for week 1? Thinking like a part-time role? What are your thoughts?
So on the depth chart, he is just like immediately leapfrogged LVN, right? So
he's leapfrogged everyone. I'm sorry, Rashawn, but there are levels to this.
But like as far as like who they have him positionally covering over, that's probably who he's taking the majority of the snaps from. Would you guess?
Yeah. I think he's gonna take, and like they'll be able to rotate those guys. Like, so I think it lowers LVN snaps, obviously, Enigbare snaps, Cox's snaps. I think he takes like a good chunk from LVN and then a good chunk from everyone else as well, like a little bit from each other player as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I expect that we'll see a lot more of LVN in game 1 than we will the rest of the season. But I also think this is like a great learning opportunity for him. Like he's had a slow start the last 2 seasons, but like there hasn't been any elite talent for him to like learn from. And I think having Parsons on the team could really like enable a lot of growth for him as a player. So hopefully we'll see that throughout the season as well.
I totally think there's ways you can get all 3 of those guys on the field too. Like,
that was going to be my next point.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, all you.
But I thought I was going to kind of bring it up, this idea. Like I expect that when things are really humming, they might actually have Gary LVN and Micah Parsons on the field at the same time. But the question I had is like, does that mean LVN or Gary going to be moving inside? Or how often do you think they might line up Micah Parsons as like a linebacker position and then having him blitz and wreak havoc from wherever he is?
I could see them standing him up in the A gap, like as like a pass rusher there. I don't think they're going to play him as a traditional linebacker though much at all. But I could see them like standing him up like how the Packers used to do with Za'Darius, where like he rushes from the A gap. But I don't think he's going to be like doing much of the linebacker stuff, because I think, with Quay and Cooper, like I think they feel like they have linebacker covered, and plus like you want Micah Parsons rushing the passer, like that's where the real value.
I just mean more about where they would move him around and then have him blitz in from somewhere.
Totally. But yeah, I don't expect Micah to be playing a lot of linebacker. Eli, I think you had some numbers on that.
Yeah, so he started his career in Dallas as a linebacker. So his first year, he had like more of that traditional setup. Like, so he was dropping into pass coverage,
which is kind of what he did at Penn State a little bit too.
Yeah, and that role decreased a bunch going into year two. So in 2022, 200 of his coverage snaps moved into pass rush. And then, like, by 2023, it was in coverage less than 2% of the time. So, he has been there, but I think that's just the team recognizing where his value is, and that's getting in there and causing mayhem. So, I think it's available as an option, but probably not something we'll see a ton of.
Yeah. I just wanted to kind of comment on this at the time when he was first couple years in the league, thinking he was the most Lawrence Taylor-like defender I had seen in a couple of decades, where, he had the ferocity in the pass rush, but also the athletic ability to drop in coverage and chase players. That's all in one player.
Super dynamic and versatile as a player, for sure. But so I don't know if you guys want to say anything more about Micah and his impact. I feel like we've touched on that a lot. Maybe we can talk a little bit about, because the Packers do trade Kenny Clark in this deal, which, obviously 10 years of service with the Packers, has been a consummate pro on and off the field, has been a really good player for Green Bay, had a bit of a down year last year, is getting a little bit older. But I do think that this, obviously want to shout out Kenny for all the, awesome moments as a Packer. But I do think we should also maybe touch on a little bit, obviously shout out to Kenny, and also where this leaves the defensive tackle room. Dad, do you want to start us there?
Yeah, so I guess they're putting a lot into Devontae Wyatt, kind of being the standard bearer for the defensive tackle group. And he's got great pass rush juice. Part of it is going to be staying healthy. I think they must like some of what they've seen from Colby Wooden this year and what he's. I
was going to say it leaves the nose tackle. It leaves the nose tackle room a little light, which is probably, they have Colby Wooden playing there, and then they kept Nazir Stackhouse. We were originally going to do a whole 53-man roster breakdown and talk about, they kept Nazir Stackhouse, 6 defensive tackles. Like, what does that mean? No one cares about any of that anymore. That's not the content that people want. But I do think, like, it puts more on Wooden's plate. It puts more on Stackhouse's plate. It puts more on, like you said, Wyatt's plate. I think all the other defensive tackle guys are going to have to, step up and fill that role, because I do think, like, obviously, there's a lot of snaps to fill there now at that defensive tackle spot.
Yeah, but I'm curious if they'll run with more linebackers and fewer defensive tackles on some of the plays when they go into other packages besides base. One thing that I was a little surprised about in terms of how this went down, I expected when I was just fantasizing about this trade that they would have sent an edge rusher back, not a defensive tackle. And so now they have a lot of edge rushers now on the team. They
do for sure. I wonder if, like, Sorrell moves to IR now, maybe. I don't know.
I guess we don't know how bad his knee is. They haven't done it yet. They could have, if they wanted to have him on a chance to bring him back, they could have done it right after the cut downs, and they haven't done it yet. So I think we're going to see more of Stackhouse than we expected, because he's seems to be their main run stuffer now on the team, unless Wooden can do even more. We don't even know what weight Wooden is playing at anymore. They still got him listed at 273, which was he was at the combine.
No way he's 273.
And he was already over, 290, I think, by the time his rookie year started. So, hey, you guys, you going to update that weight ever?
Just let him be 273 in his dreams,
Not when he's trying to stop,
getting pushed off the double
300-pound offensive lineman.
300-pound offensive linemen trying to force him off a spot. We'd like him to be over $3 bills then. But yeah, so I do think that the defensive tackle room is going to be a little bit in flux, but I think that's just kind of like, you're going to have to figure that out, but that's okay. I think, like you said, it puts more on Wyatt. I think they're going to play some of those edge rushers inside a little bit more in certain downs and spots. I think it maybe makes the run defense a little more questionable. Like, you need guys to step up there. But I'm not like super overly concerned, just because I think that that's like a swap you'd still make. Like, you'd rather have like more pass rush juice and a little bit worse run defense. But Eli, what do you think about that?
I don't have any strong opinions on the or thoughts on the general team composition. That's something that in the preseason I did not follow as closely as y'all, so I will be learning from seeing as we get into the season.
Exactly, and wouldn't look good in the preseason, but it is just preseason, so we're not going to know until we get to the real games. But we didn't really get a chance to talk about Kenny too much. Is there anything you guys want to say about Kenny Clark? I mean, he's been a really awesome Packer for a decade and has been one of the elder statesmen of the team who's really been a leader there. I think they are going to miss his leadership off the field. But do you guys want to say anything about him? Eli, you want to go first?
Yes, he's been a pretty much a constant since I started following the Packers regularly, which was when I was living with Matt and Tommy. So before then, I was more of a casual fan, but got really into football the seasons I was out there. So like, he showed up in like year 2 of that, and has just been like a constant fixture of my Packers viewing experience. So not like quite the security blanket safety thing where it's like, oh, Kenny's on the field, everything's going to be all right, but still like a presence that is always appreciated and is like pretty reliable in all senses.
Yeah, and he wasn't a guy who necessarily popped off the screen, but you could tell when he was out there, he really raised the level of everyone else too. But Dad, do you want to say anything about Kenny really quick?
Well, that was the thing that you noticed for they had a number of years that if Kenny was hurt and, even on the field hurt, the whole defense suffered. All the edge rushers were not as good when Kenny was out or having to play on like 1 foot or, some other nagging injury. We saw it in 2020, where both Za'Darius and Preston had down years after their first year with the Packers, if I've got the years right. I may have mixed them up. And maybe last year too. So we hope that that's no longer the case, that the whole defense plays worse when Kenny's not there.
Yeah, but I think it's just to say like
he's been sort of the linchpin for a number of years now for the team, and has been always important to how their defense has played for like at least the last 8 years.
Yeah, I mean, he's been very underrated, very unheralded during his time in Green Bay, but I think if you follow the Packers long enough, you really understand how important he's been to Green Bay. So definitely tough to see him go. Wishing him all the best in Dallas. Any final things you guys want to say about this trade? Final thoughts? I don't think we want to go too long here, but any final reactions? Dad, I'll throw to you first.
Yeah, so he mentioned like wishing him the best. It's like kind of funny. I was like, I don't want Dallas to have the best of anything.
Fair enough.
I really like Kenny and appreciate everything he did for the Packers. So can he do great, but the team somehow struggles somewhere?
Fair. That would be the best of both worlds. But any final thoughts on the Micah thing?
Yeah,
I think we might get one of the greatest Scooter Magruder videos of all time out of this.
I was saying that's like must see. Well, I guess must see YouTube.
Gonna go
today.
Triple.
Like, I gotta watch his reaction. This is gonna be high level entertainment.
Gonna go triple platinum for sure. But anyway, if we don't have anything else to throw in here, I feel like we should just wrap it up. But this has been our emergency podcast. Three-headed monster running the 3-man weave here with our reaction to the Packers trading for Micah Parsons. I still can't believe it. It's still crazy to say to me. But yeah, so without anything else to say, thank you for listening. We'll be back next week with our preview for the Packers-Lions Week 1 opener. So check that out. Check us out on Blue Sky at Father Son Packer. Like, subscribe, tell a friend, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, leave a comment, leave a review, et cetera, et cetera. And I guess until next time, go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go.